What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today we're taking a look at this secret weapon I was tweeting about yesterday. Yes, it is indeed the Anguish of Drystan, so people got really close. What? Why are you doing a weapon review on this? Here's your weapon review. It's terrible. Is it? Is it though? You might change your mind just a little bit after we go through this. So as far as the Anguish of Drystan, our barrel perks are down here, and we're going to pick Linear Compensator. I'll show you why in just a moment. As far as the Adept version goes, well, you're going to have crowd control stock, and all of the Taken King weapons have Cocoon, as everybody knows. Now down the middle column, that's where you might have a choice. Fitted stock is going to give you a little bit of stability, but Brace Frame will give you far more. Unfortunately, that's at the cost of magazine size, and that's the one thing I have a problem with. In PvP, it's manageable. In PvE, it's just a little bit low, slightly low, though not terrible. So we said we would take a look at some of the perks, but first I want to compare it to the Genesis Chain. So Genesis Chain, people generally say is a pretty solid weapon. Whenever we compare the stats, we can see that Anguish of Drystan is killing it in stability, especially with Brace Frame, where Genesis Chain just basically doubles its range. And of course, Genesis Chain has a bigger magazine size, though you can't exactly compare rate of fire or damage output because Genesis Chain has focus fire going on. But still, just to look at some of the base stats on how it's firing, that would give you a nice idea. Now we're going to take a look at our barrels. Right here, we've got Linear Compensator on. And whenever we fire that, basically we've got a lot of vertical recoil, not a ton of horizontal. So with Linear Compensator, it's basically like a poor man's counterbalance. Moving on to Accurized Ballistics, whenever we fire off at the wall, we'll see that we do not have as much vertical recoil. We do not go as high up on the wall, but we've got a lot more horizontal recoil. So that's Accurized, and now we're going to go and we're going to put on Field Choke for our third barrel. And I think you'll see why we end up picking Linear Compensator of all of the options. So whenever we fire off with Field Choke, we can see that we are all over the place horizontally, and we've got a pretty decent amount of vertical kick. So Linear Compensator is definitely the way to go. Now before we get too deep into our clips, I want to say that the Anguish of Drystan has something really special going on with it, and it's that it has 29 impact. And that's pretty important because 29 impact on this 77 rate of fire auto rifle means that it changes the time to kill. So most of your auto rifles in this category, the 77 rate of fire, like the Does Not Bow, Her Memory, Shadow Price, the Deal Breaker, things like that, they kill in 6 critical hits in 2 body shots, whereas the Anguish of Drystan kills in 5 critical hits in 3 body shots for the fastest time to kill. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it just means that you don't have to be as accurate, and that's actually pretty nice. Now the Genesis Chain is in the same category, but again, Genesis Chain kills a little bit faster because, well, it's got that focus fire going on and some other special things with it. But Anguish of Drystan, it's got that one little special thing going on for it, and that is actually pretty nice. So we're kind of blowing the lid off of things a little bit here, because this style of auto rifle got buffed a little bit, its damage got buffed, all auto rifles got a bit of a range buff, so if you enjoy this style of auto rifle in PvP, this is already better than your other legendary weapons that you can go ahead and get, because it's just got a better time to kill. You don't have to be as accurate, so that is actually pretty nice. Good on you, Anguish of Drystan. But let's talk about something else. So I mentioned the Adept version has crowd control, and in that final perk node, there's not a lot of stuff that's going to give you a lot of utility, but crowd control might give you just a little bit of an edge. So we have a couple clips where crowd control ends up coming into play. You'll probably see those later on. Basically, whenever crowd control is proccing, you're going to end up dealing out 32 damage on a headshot, as opposed to 28, which I'm dealing out normally, whenever you're in range. So that's pretty nice. That adds a nice little boost to you. And right there, I think you can see that. Anguish of Drystan, extremely OP. One shot, one kill. No, I'm just kidding. I just thought that was a little bit of a funny clip. That guy clearly was scared to face the Anguish of Drystan, and he just jumped off a cliff. So anyway, let's talk about why this gun is typically frowned upon, and I completely understand why that is. Basically, if you take a look at the perks, none of those perks look good or great for a legendary auto rifle that you might want to use. If you were able to re-roll any legendary auto rifle with the perfect perks, you would not be picking Cocoon and crowd control. You simply wouldn't. Now crowd control, it has minor minor utility, but it just goes away far too fast. And Cocoon, really not a useful perk in PvP. In fact, I personally do not like Cocoon on any primary weapon. I like it on the heavy machine gun, I think it's phenomenal there. But on a primary weapon, don't like it. Unless you lower the time that it takes Cocoon to activate, then I think it might be actually pretty solid. But overall, that's not the way that it is, so we can go ahead and downgrade that perk. So that's the problem. Whenever people take a look at this gun in legendary or exotic fashion, they're like, yeah, none of these perks are things that I'm just dying for. They're really not going to help me out in the game. So pretty much what you've got with the Anguish of Drystan is you've got an auto rifle that comes stock, that comes basically stock with all of its perks, and the thing that's good about it is its base stats, its hidden stats. It's got a really nice recoil direction, which is basically vertical. It's got insane equip speed. It's got really nice aim assist as far as comparing it to the aim assist of all the other auto rifles in this archetype. And like I mentioned, it's got linear compensator and that extra point of impact, which is really important. I know we all look at the time to kill charts, and whenever we take a look at this style of auto rifle, this 77 rate of fire auto rifle, the time to kill is pretty bad. It's pretty low. 0.93 seconds whenever you're at your absolute best. That's terrible. Hand cannons are going to outgun you. Pulse rifles are going to outgun you. It's not good. The problem is with auto rifles in general, you can't look at theoretical times to kill on them, because more often than not, and far more often than not, you're not going to be getting that exact situation. Auto rifles fire too fast, they bounce around too much, it's much too difficult to hit all those critical hit shots. It will happen every now and then, and you'll feel like an absolute PvP auto rifle god, but more often than not, it is not going to happen. So the more lenient a weapon can be, the better it is. In this case, you need to take one less critical hit shot and one more body shot. That is far, far better for you. So that's why I'm really enjoying this weapon. I don't have to be exactly as accurate as I need to be with other weapons of this exact archetype. So I think that's actually pretty cool and pretty solid. One other thing, and this is something that's pretty important for me on weapons, is I kind of like the sight. I kind of like the sight when I'm aiming down the sight. I know some people have a really big problem with it. I personally like this better than Necrochasm sight. It's basically an inverted Necrochasm sight where you have your 2 points down on the bottom and 1 point up top. I don't know why, but to me, I feel that that's more visually satisfying. I find that it's easier to line up my shot and hit that critical hit shot where I need to, having that one nice red dot in the center. I want to know what you think about that, because I know I've seen people who really do not like the Taken King sights. They really don't. Even though they're pretty unique, people really don't like them, mainly in PvP. In PvE, I don't think sights matter as much, though Fabian strategy, I think that might get in your way all the time. But here, I'm actually kind of liking this one. I think it's pretty solid and pretty nice. Now here's a pretty fun clip coming in here. We've got a Blade Dancer, and I'm pretty much doing all the damage to this Blade Dancer. Boom, he goes down. That feels good. Anytime you've got a weapon that's able to go ahead and take out a super, a charging and roaming super, that's pretty good. So I had a lot of fun with the Anguish of Drystan. I had some pretty solid matches, back-to-back matches, 2.83 KD, 3.0 KD, and this is me. Look, I'm not Encooch, I'm not Triple Wreck, I'm not Luminosity, I'm not the Lab. I am not a great PvP player, but I had some pretty decent success with this. I wouldn't exactly take it into 3s or trials, but in 6v6 game mode, this thing has got a lot of potential and a lot of power, and is pretty fun. Now, did I potentially sway you to at least give this thing a try? Just give it one match of a try? I don't know if I did or didn't. I wish there was an auto rifle bounty going on this week for the Quartermaster. Man, I want to use auto rifles more. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Iron Banner, and I'll see you around in Destiny. #Anguish Ownage.